My child, I see the scar. Not the one on your skin, but the one on your soul. The one that still aches when the memory surfaces, when a certain sound echoes, when a particular date circles on the calendar. You carry it as a private history of pain, a chapter you wish you could tear out of the book of your life. You see it as a theft. Something beautiful was taken from you. Your innocence, your trust, your joy, your peace. You've asked me in the quietest hours, why did you allow it? Why did that hurt have to touch me? And the question has hung in the air, heavy with the weight of unanswered sorrow. Today I begin to turn the page. I'm not here to explain the why of the pain. I'm here to reveal the what for. That wound, that deep hurt, is not your permanent identity. It is raw material. In my hands, nothing is wasted, not even your deepest agony. What was meant to break you is being transformed into the very thing that will make you unbreakable. What was designed to make you bitter is being alchemized into a compassion that can heal nations. The hurt did not come from me, but I am sovereign over it. And I am now entering the wound site not as a passive observer, but as a master surgeon and a divine alchemist. You feel the scar as a dead end. I see it as a seed. Buried in the dark soil of that experience is a dormant potential for a strength, a wisdom, a resilience, and a purpose that could not have been grown in the sunshine of an easy life. Just as a seed must be buried and broken open for its life to emerge, your pain has created a necessary rupture in your old self. It has made room. It has created a hollow space. And into that hollow space I am now pouring my grace, my identity, and a calling that is so specific, it could only fit a heart that has been uniquely shaped by sorrow. Think of Joseph, the pit, the betrayal by his brothers, the slavery, the false accusation. Each was a devastating wound. Each was a theft of his dignity, his freedom, his reputation. For years, those wounds defined his reality. But in my sovereign plan, those very wounds became the precise training that positioned him in Pharaoh's palace. The betrayal taught him administration in Potiphar's house. The prison taught him interpretation and patience. The wounds created in him the exact character and skills needed to save a nation and his own family. The very things meant to destroy him became the curriculum for his destiny. What hurt him ultimately rewarded him, and millions of others, with life. Your story is no less significant. The enemy of your soul sent that hurt to destroy a part of you. But I have permitted it, in my infinite wisdom and love, to create a new version of you. The you that existed before the pain could not carry the weight of the glory I have destined for you. The wound, as terrible as it was, has expanded your capacity. It has carved out a reservoir in your soul, where my comfort now dwells, so that you can comfort others with the comfort you have received. So today I ask you to look at that scar differently. Do not honor the pain, but honor my power to redeem it. The alchemy has already begun. The seed is stirring. The reward is not merely the cessation of pain, but the emergence of a you so strong, so compassionate, and so anointed that you will one day thank me for the very broken road that led you to this place of purpose. The hurt is about to pay you back with interest. Trust the process. Trust the alchemist. You understand the wound as raw material. Now I must show you the economy of heaven, where nothing is wasted and every loss is convertible. You see your pain as a deficit, a subtraction from your life's balance sheet. But in my kingdom, the ledger works differently. The tears you've cried are not evaporated, they are deposited. The nights you spent in anguish are not lost time, they are invested hours. The trust that was shattered is not gone forever. It is being refined into a faith that cannot be shaken. What the enemy intended as a bankruptcy of your spirit, I am turning into the most valuable currency you possess, a currency called testimony, authority, and unspeakable compassion. This pain you carry has earned you a form of wealth that ease could never purchase. It has given you spiritual credit in realms you cannot see. When you pray for someone else walking through a similar valley, your prayers carry a weight, a resonance, an authority that someone who has never been there simply does not have. Your words to them are not theoretical. They are forged in the fire of your own survival. That is a priceless currency. When you stand against the spirit of fear, you do so not from a textbook, but from a battlefield where you have seen my deliverance. That is unshakable authority. The enemy meant to impoverish you, but he accidentally made you rich in the only riches that last for eternity, the riches of assured faith and proven character. Consider the story of the woman with the issue of blood. For 12 years, her condition was a source of relentless hurt, physical, financial, social, and spiritual. It drained her of everything, her health, her wealth, her place in community. It was a wound that kept on wounding. But that very wound, that long-term desperation, became the fuel for a faith so audacious, it pushed her through a crowd to touch the hem of my son's garment. Her pain purchased a desperation that would not be denied. And when she touched him, she was not only healed, she was called out. Jesus said, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Her wound became the context for a public divine commendation. The very thing that isolated her became the story that forever connects her to the power of Christ. Her hurt rewarded her with a front-row revelation of Jesus and a forever identity as the daughter whose faith stopped the Savior. Your prolonged struggle, your issue of blood, has been creating in you a similar kind of faith, a faith that is tenacious, focused, and refuses to take no for an answer from the pits of hell. You have been learning to press through the crowd of doubts, fears, and opinions to get to me. That skill, born of pain, is a reward in itself. It is a spiritual instinct that will serve you for the rest of your life. So, begin to audit your pain from a heavenly perspective. What has it taught you about my faithfulness that you would have otherwise only believed theoretically? What compassion has it carved into your heart? What patience has it forced you to develop? What false idols of self-sufficiency has it dismantled? These are not losses. These are assets. They are the spiritual capital I am using to build your future and fund the healing of others. Do not begrudge the currency you've been given. It may feel heavy and dark, but in my hands, it is being minted into something that will shine with eternal value. The enemy stole your comfort to make you weak. I am using the lack of comfort to make you strong, reliant, and powerful in prayer. He meant to bankrupt you. I am declaring you spiritually wealthy beyond measure. The hurt is about to reward you, not with revenge, not with mere compensation, but with a weight of glory that makes the former things pale in comparison. You are not poor. You are rich in what matters most. Start spending your currency in prayer, in praise, in stepping out to heal others. You'll be amazed at its purchasing power. You are beginning to see your pain as spiritual currency. Now, I show you the divine reversal that is already in motion. The enemy operates on a principle: cause pain to cripple purpose. He inflicts a wound in a specific area of your life, your relationships, your confidence, your health, your finances, believing that wound will become a permanent weak spot, a gate he can always storm to steal, kill, and destroy. He marks you there. He thinks he has claimed territory. But I operate on a higher law. What the enemy means for evil, I will use for good, and the very ground of your greatest wound will become the platform of your greatest authority. The tables are turning. The site of the attack is becoming the site of the monument. This is the mystery of my cross. The enemy's ultimate weapon, shame, suffering, and death, was unleashed on my son at Calvary. The ground there was stained with blood, soaked in agony, marked by the deepest injustice. It looked like total defeat, the ultimate wound. But 3 days later, that very ground became the epicenter of the universe's greatest victory. The cross, the instrument of torture, became the symbol of salvation. The wound became the wellspring of life for all mankind. I specialize in turning execution grounds into resurrection gardens. Your life is no different. The area where you have felt most attacked, most shamed, most diminished, that is the very territory I am sanctifying and reclaiming for a display of my glory. The enemy thought he was building a stronghold. I am turning it into a strong point. Your fear of abandonment is becoming your unshakable knowledge of my presence. Your experience of betrayal is becoming your doctorate in loyalty and discernment. Your season of lack is becoming your mastery of contentment and trust in my provision. The wound is not being erased. It is being converted. The scar tissue is becoming the toughest, most resilient part of your spiritual armor. Look at Peter. His most public, humiliating wound was his threefold denial of Jesus. In a courtyard beside a fire, fear broke him. He wept bitterly. The enemy likely marked him there. This one will always be a coward. His mouth will betray him under pressure. But after the resurrection, by another fire on a beach, Jesus asked him 3 times, "Peter, do you love me?" Each question was not an accusation, but a surgical redemption of each denial. Jesus was turning the tables. The place of Peter's deepest failure became the place of his most profound commissioning. Feed my sheep. The wound of cowardice became the wellspring of his courage to stand before thousands at Pentecost. The enemy's mark was overwritten by my grace, and the weak spot became the launch pad for apostolic authority. Right now, in the unseen realms, I'm conducting a similar ceremony over your life. I'm standing at the site of your wound, the memory, the fear, the insecurity, and I am asking you a question not of accusation, but of restoration. Do you trust me here? Will you let me love you here? Will you receive my purpose for this place? Your yes activates the reversal. It allows me to plant a flag of victory on the very ground the enemy thought he had conquered. So stop running from the memory of the hurt. Stop fearing that it defines you. Turn and face it with me. Say, God, this is the place. This is where it happened. I give you this ground. Turn this table. Make this weak spot my stronghold in you. This prayer is an act of spiritual warfare. It is you agreeing with the divine reversal. It is you signing the deed of that land over to me. The enemy's plan is about to backfire spectacularly. The weapon formed against you is being dismantled, and you are being handed its parts to build an altar. The hurt is not your end. It is your setup for a counterattack of grace so powerful it will leave the enemy confused and you gloriously rewarded. Get ready. The table is turning. Your position is about to change from victim to victor on the very same battlefield. The tables are turning. The ground of your wound is being consecrated. Now, I want you to see the blueprint, the architecture of the reward I am building from the rubble of your pain. You imagine the reward as a separate event. A pleasant surprise that arrives after the pain is a distant memory. But I am not a God who merely compensates. I am a God who integrates. The reward is not a detached gift. It is a new structure, and the lessons, strength, and empathy forged in your hurt are the load-bearing beams, the reinforced steel, the cornerstone of the entire design. Without them, the building would be pretty but fragile. With them, it is a fortress, a sanctuary, a lighthouse that can withstand any storm and guide others home. Think of Nehemiah. The hurt was the broken walls of Jerusalem, a symbol of his people's vulnerability, shame, and defeat. The ruins were a constant, visible ache. His reward was not just the emotional relief of seeing the walls rebuilt. The reward was the process of rebuilding itself. The very act of lifting stones amid opposition, organizing the people, standing guard with a tool in one hand and a weapon in the other. This process forged in him and the people a new identity, not victims of destruction, but rebuilders with a sword at their side. The reward was not just a wall, It was the unconquerable spirit of a people who had reclaimed their own security with their own hands, strengthened by a vision from God. The hurt, the broken wall, was essential to the reward, the unshakable community of defenders that emerged. Your broken walls, the breaches in your trust, your security, your hope, are not being magically wished away. I am calling you to pick up the tools of faith and obedience and rebuild with me. The stone of forgiveness you lay over a betrayal, the mortar of patience you apply in a season of waiting, the guard post of prayer you establish over a vulnerable area of your heart. This active, faithful rebuilding is the reward taking shape. The character, the resilience, the intimate partnership with me that you develop in the process. That is the treasure. The restored wall is just the beautiful, visible evidence of the invisible, internal fortress that now stands within you. This is why the reward often looks different than you expect. You pray for the restored relationship, and I am building in you a Christ-like love that is fearless and selfless. You pray for financial breakthrough, and I am forging in you a trust in my provision that transcends bank statements. You pray for healing, and I am teaching your spirit to govern your flesh and find wholeness in me that physical wellness can only echo. The external blessing is the fruit. The internal transformation is the root. And I am always focused on the root, because from healthy roots, eternal fruit will grow. So participate in the architecture. When you feel the ache of the old wound, don't just see the hole in the wall. See the stone I am handing you to fill it. That stone might be a choice to forgive today. It might be a decision to praise when you don't feel like it. It might be a step of obedience that seems small. Each act of faith is a stone placed in the divine design. You are not a passive construction site. You are a co-laborer with me. The Holy Spirit is your foreman. My word is your level and plumb line. And your surrendered will is the skilled hand that places each stone according to the plan. The hurt is about to reward you with more than you lost. It is about to reward you with a version of yourself you could not have constructed without the breaking, a purpose you could not have fulfilled without the battle scars, and a testimony that will not just tell of a wound healed, but of a mighty fortress raised from dust by the grace of God. Pick up your tool. The blueprint is glorious. Let's build. You have been rebuilding stone by faithful stone. You have embraced the process, learned the architecture, and wielded the tools of obedience. Now prepare for the suddenness. There is a moment in every divine reversal when the internal transformation, the fortified character, the deep-rooted faith, the surrendered will, manifests in the external realm with a speed and a clarity that takes your breath away. This is not magic. It is the spiritual physics of harvest. You have been sowing in tears, tilling hard ground, tending fragile sprouts through long seasons. And harvest does not come gradually. It arrives. It is gathered. The field that seemed to change slowly suddenly appears golden and ready. The hurt is about to reward you, and part of the reward is the stunning, joyful suddenness of the shift. You have prayed for years. You have waited, wondered, and at times wept. You have grown accustomed to the pace of the process, the plodding faithfulness of daily obedience. But I am the God of the 11th hour, the God who parted the Red Sea in a night, the God who raised Lazarus in a moment. I am not bound by time. I master it for your destiny. The length of the wait is not an indicator of my reluctance, but of the magnitude of the convergence I am orchestrating. I am aligning people, resources, favor, and opportunities on a collision course with your prepared and proven character. When they connect, it will feel sudden, but it is the culmination of a million meticulous movements in the unseen. Remember the Israelites at the Red Sea. They had endured the wounds of slavery for generations. Their process of deliverance involved plagues and a tense exit. But their moment of ultimate reward, the destruction of their enemy and their passage to freedom, happened in the terrifying, glorious space of a single night. The sea parted, they crossed on dry ground, and the waters returned, swallowing the chariots of Pharaoh. The shift was absolute, decisive, and fast. One day they were trapped with an army at their backs. The next they were free, watching the corpse of their oppressor wash ashore. The reward for their long hurt was not just freedom, but a demonstration of my power so profound it became the cornerstone of their identity as a nation. Your Red Sea moment is on the horizon. The enemy that has pursued you, the spirit of lack, the memory of failure, the voice of condemnation, is about to be swallowed up in the very pathway of your deliverance. The way forward will open in a manner you did not engineer. The provision will arrive from a direction you had stopped looking toward. The vindication will be public. It will feel sudden because you are looking from the ground level. But from my vantage point, every condition has now been met, every lesson integrated, every stone of your character firmly set. The harvest is ripe. So, what do you do in these final moments before the shift? You stand still and see the salvation of your God. You cease striving. You quiet the internal calculations. You take your hands off the blueprint and simply worship the architect. You thank me for the harvest before you see it, because your faith has matured to the point where it can celebrate the promise as if it is already present. This posture of grateful expectancy is the final spiritual catalyst. It signals to heaven that you are no longer defined by the wound, but ready to be defined by the reward. Do not be alarmed by the suddenness. It is not instability. It is the glorious, stable reality of my promise breaking into your timeline. The hurt lasted for a season. The reward will echo for a lifetime and into eternity. Get ready. The wind is changing. The waters are stirring. The shift is not coming. It is here. The shift has happened. The sudden relief, the open door, the answered prayer. It stands before you, real and tangible. The hurt has indeed rewarded you. But before you step fully into this new landscape, understand this final sacred truth. The reward is not a trophy for your mantelpiece. It is a tool for your mission. The alchemy is complete. The tables have turned. The fortress has been built. The harvest has been gathered. Now, I hand you the fruit and give you your commission. You are not meant to consume this reward in isolation. You are meant to dispense it. Your healing is someone else's hope. Your restoration is someone else's roadmap. Your victory is a weapon I place in your hands to liberate the captives still trapped in the same prison you once called home. What hurt you was meant to silence you. What is rewarding you is meant to amplify you. Your testimony is no longer a private story of survival. It is a public decree of liberation. When you speak of the pit, you do so from the solid ground of the palace. When you mention the betrayal, you do so with the peaceful heart of the reconciled. When you reference the lack, you do so while pointing to the storehouses of heaven that met you in the desert. This is the ultimate turn of the tables. The enemy's weapon becomes your witness, and your wound becomes your welcome to every heart still bleeding. Look at the life of Paul. His greatest hurt was his own violent past, persecuting the church, holding the coats of those who stoned Stephen. That memory could have been a crippling wound of guilt and shame. But after his encounter with my grace, he did not hide it. He weaponized it for the gospel. He said, "I am the worst of sinners, but I was shown mercy." His hurt became the foundation of his credibility. His reward, apostolic authority, was wielded not to boast, but to showcase the depth and reach of my saving power. He was commissioned to take the very story of his hurt and use it as a key to unlock prison doors across the Roman Empire. So it is with you. The specific nature of your pain has calibrated you for a specific kind of ministry. The one who was abandoned can now spot the orphan spirit from a mile away and offer the Father's love. The one who faced financial ruin can now counsel with wisdom and pray with authority over the spirit of poverty. The one who battled sickness can now lay hands with a faith that has stared death in the face and seen my victory. Your scar is your credential. Your healing is your anointing. Therefore, do not be afraid of the reward. Do not feel unworthy of the blessing. Receive it with open, grateful hands, knowing that its weight is not just for you to carry, but for you to distribute. The more you give away the comfort, wisdom, and provision I have given you, the more the reward multiplies. This is the economy of my kingdom. You keep what you have by giving it away in my name. Walk forward now into this new chapter with a dual identity, healed and healer, restored and restorer, rewarded and rewarder. The hurt is in the past tense, the reward is your present reality, and the commission to take your story and become a living sanctuary of hope for others, that is your glorious, eternal future. The chapter of your pain is closed. The volume of your purpose is now open. Go and write it with the ink of my grace on the pages of other people's lives. Amen.